Hey guys, this is me, Anchor64 again for another type of video. This time I'm going to talk about hit rating and how hit rating affects us as warriors and also how important weapon skill for us warriors actually is. So yeah, that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. So of course, as always, uh, just sit back, relax, and if you have anything to say, feel free to comment. So let's start with the actual video. So yeah, as you already saw from the thumbnail or title, in my personal opinion, it's not really worth it to go for 9% hit rating when you only have 300 weapon skill. So why is that the case? I'm going to show you some examples. And the reason why I did make this video, I see a lot of different discussions, a lot of different opinions, and so on. There's a lot of different information, how weapon skill actually works. So yeah, and how much hit rating you should get as a warrior. So I made this video just to clear this up and also clear up the misconception that you are good to go if you just get 9% hit rating if you play an race, for example, that doesn't have a racial weapon skill ability. So a dwarf, for example. So yeah, what I have here is of course my set I use right now as a warrior. I'm a human, so I of course benefit from that weapon skill, and yeah, that is the set I'm using right now. So now let's try to sim it, and I get this amount of damage, so 1201, and yeah, that's my current setup. So I just simmed it so you have a reference point maybe. I of course don't have the best gear. Some of the pieces are best in slots, some of them are really bad, so yeah. Yeah, that's the current gear I'm using. However, let's switch to a different gear set so I can show you an example. So this one is another one, and as you can see, this is a dwarf warrior. So dwarves, of course, don't have a racial ability, as you can see, and we only have 300 weapon skill with this gear set. However, we are using the best in slot axes we can get unless we want to do PvP. So these are the best in slot axes. Why I'm going to use axes, I'm going to show you that in a bit. I need to use axes for my example. So yeah. Also, you can see my settings. I'm not using a skill specialization, so I really have only 300 weapon skill. Other than that, I'm using pretty much every buff. Same as my human warrior. It's pretty much the same. So yeah, let me sim it. And first thing, of course, I'm going to do less DPS than my human warrior, like 50 DPS less, even though I'm using arguably better weapons. So yeah, that's the first thing we have. Also, this gear is even better than mine because I'm even using Band of a Courier, which gives me 2% hit rating. So that ring, I don't use that on my human warrior because I don't have that ring. So yeah, as you can see, I have 9% hit with this setup. So by that definition, a lot of people are saying you are good. You have 9% hit rating, even though you have 300 weapon skill, so you should be good. But I do 50 DPS less than my human warrior, even though I have better gear. So that's the first thing. However, I'm going to show you some things that makes this even more apparent, where weapon skill is way more important than hit rating. Okay, let me swap out this helmet. So Lionheart helmet should be known for everyone to you. I talked about this a lot in my other videos. But yeah, let's actually switch this around. Let me switch this helmet for this one. So here we have Expert Gold Miner's helmet. So this helmet um, has like only 5 agility and 6 stamina, but it has increased access +7. So by just equipping this helmet, we are going to lose 18 strength, 2% crit, and 2% hit from our Lionheart helmet. So now you maybe think, okay, we are going to do way less damage. So no, let me DPS and actually show you what will happen. So yeah, massive DPS boost. So like over 40 DPS, close to even my human warrior, and we even lost a lot of hit. So, but we are still hit capped because we have 307 weapon skill now. So we only need 6%, we have 7% right now. And yeah, that's the difference, of course. But yeah, this helmet, like just from the stats alone, you would think, okay, it's way worse than Lionheart helmet. But for our situation right now, it's not. And we lost a lot of stats actually. But still, we are close to my human warrior. So that's pretty insane actually. That's one thing that I need to mention, of course. So yeah, weapon skill is something you see it on gear. It doesn't really have that of an effect like crit. You see critical strike and then and think, damn, hit you see hit rating and think, damn, I really need that. But yeah, weapon skill is kinda dubious. How does it work? How does it affect that? It's kind of weird. So yeah, but as you can see, it gives us a massive DPS increase. So yeah, that's one thing, one example I want to show you. So now an even more extreme example. So let me switch back to Lionheart helmet, but let me switch my weapons. So now I'm going to use Lobotomizer, a dagger, and another dagger, Horhorn Tooth. So first of all, of course, I'm going to do way less DPS. Of course, you can use different daggers, whatever. This is just an example, nothing else. So yeah, as you can see, I'm doing way less DPS, but whatever. This is just a reference point again. I have 1074 DPS with my dagger setup. However, let me show you something. So first of all, I'm going to switch out Lionheart helmet. Now you would maybe think for another helmet, but no. I'm completely removing my helmet. So I'm not going to use any helmet at all. So we don't have anything. However, for my belt, as you can see, I'm using Zendalor Vindicator's belt. This belt is the second best belt you can get in the game right now. Only Onslaught Girdle is better than this one. But yeah, I'm going to replace this one with Maga's belt. So Maga's belt, in comparison, has no strength, but gives us plus 5 daggers. So we are losing 25 strength by not using Vindicator's belt anymore. So yeah, we just lost a lot of stats. I'm going to show you a bit how much stats we actually lost. But still, let me sim it. So this was my alt DPS, 1074. Let me show you what happens now. So now we have 1083 DPS, like 84. So yeah, like 10 DPS, 9 DPS more. Even though we are not using a helmet and we are using a worse belt. So yeah, how can that be? We were hit capped. We had 9% hit rating, so we should been good actually. But no, weapon skill is way more important than hit rating. That's the thing. You really need to make sure that you get 305 weapon skill. It's really important. If you don't get that, you're going to have a big problem. You're not going to feel it on like trash mobs, but you are going to feel it on raid bosses. There are a lot of different reasons for this. I'm going to talk about them a bit later in detail why actually we are losing so much damage when we are not having our weapon skill at 305. But yeah, as you can see, I'm not using a helmet, I'm using a shittier belt, but I'm still doing more DPS. So yeah, that's actually kind of insane how impressive is how much of a difference weapon skill does makes for us. Yeah, that's really a thing you need to consider. Um, really try to get your weapon skill from somewhere. Of course, you could, instead of Maga's belt, of course, the best option would be if you would use Edgemaster's handguards. Because these gives us axes plus 7, daggers plus 7, and swords plus 7. So that's the reason why everyone is saying everything besides human and orc is a meme race. Weapon skill is that important. It's the most broken stat we have in the game. Because damage reduction is actually percentage based. So if we have even better gear, this is even more apparent. Um, yeah, I could turn this into the best in slot, and I could even show you that. Uh, I think I will just do that. We have some time. This video is not that long, but yeah, let me show you what would happen if we would use the best in slot gear. That. So yeah, this is okay. We can replace this one by using this one. Shoulders, cloak, Savage Gladiator chain, Berserker bracers. Um, yeah, these are the best in slots. Chromatic boots. Circle of applied forces, and the other ring was quick strike. Where is it? Yeah. And this one is DFT, of course. No, not Badge of the Swarm God. Where is it? Yeah. So this is the best in slot gear. Oh yeah, I forgot the helmet, of course, because I removed it. So yeah, this is the best in slot gear right now. If we would use swords, swords at the moment are generally better than axes. So yeah, I'm going to use swords. Of course, I could also use the PvP ones, but yeah, I'm just going to use the raid ones, whatever. Or maybe yeah, just let me use the PvP ones, whatever. So okay. So yeah, let me sim this one. 1236 DPS. And let me show you now what happens if I replace my best in slot sacrificial gauntlets with edge masters. Yeah, I just got 80 DPS more. So yeah, that's pretty insane of an increase. Like I said, the damage reduction we get from weapon skills actually percentage based. So if we have even better gear, this will be even more relevant for us. So yeah, really make sure if you are playing something else than a human or orc, make sure that you get your weapon skill from somewhere. 305. That's really important. As you can see, if we don't do that, we are going to have problems. Let me show you something else. I don't know if this will do more DPS, but we can try. There are, there are a lot of different, like there are not a lot of different choices, but we have some choices we can make to get some weapon skill. For example, you could even use this one. And yeah, you can see I'm using the Warblade set, and this does 30 DPS more than our best in slot PvP weapons, just because these have weapon skill as a set bonus. Even though I wouldn't really recommend using these instead, unless you really need the weapon skill. So yeah, as you can see again, weapon skill is that important, and it will pretty much um, trump everything else. So if you have even the worst gear kinda, even then weapon skill becomes really important, and even here it becomes really important. So yeah, overall, really try to increase your weapon skill so you have at least 305. So yeah, these were some examples. Um, I still have, yeah, okay, nice. I didn't remove it. Okay, now let me show you why is our damage increased? Why do we get such a big damage increase when we are using 312 weapon skill compared to like 300? Why is that the case? Uh, so you can actually look it up. There's a really handy guide from someone who is called Meiji, who made a lot of different calculations. And one really important calculation he made, you can see this here. So weapon skill is mentioned right here. I also talked about this, I think, in my warrior guide. But yeah, this one is really important, and we can see why what the damage penalties are if we are not using 300 weapon skill. So let me summarize it, and it's a bit complicated. So yeah, it might be a bit difficult to understand, but I will try my best to explain it. So how this game works is if we fight a mob, an enemy that is 3 levels higher than us. So for example, if we fight the raid bosses have like that skull symbol. That means they are raid bosses and they are always 3 levels higher than us. So yeah, that's the first thing. Raid bosses have a defense of 315. So yeah, that's one thing. 315. And yeah, that's the first thing. The other thing we have is weapon skill. So let's say we have 300 weapon skill. So the difference between those would be 15. The enemy has 315 defense, we have 300 weapon skill. If we subtract that, we get 50. And that you can also see here. So that's what this number means. That's pretty much the difference between weapon skill and the enemy defense. So if we fight a raid boss, let me give you an example. Let's say we are a dwarf And we have 300 weapon skill. Let's say we use axes or something, and we fight the raid boss. We have 300, the enemy will have 315. So this will happen. First of all, our glancing strikes will do 35% less damage. So that's the first thing. Another thing is we will have a miss chance of 8%, and we need a hit cap of 9%. Why do we need 9%? If we have this much of a disparity between our weapon skill and defense, the first percent of our hit chance is actually ignored. So that's why we need 9%. So yeah, that's the first thing. So as you can see, this is the case if we have 300 weapon skill and are fighting a raid boss. So yeah, that's what's happening. What are glancing blows, or what is the glancing penalty? So in classic WoW, I think this is not actually true for TBC. I think they removed that. But in classic, we have different hits. So we can hit the enemy, we can critical strike the enemy, we can miss the enemy, our strike can be dodged, our strike can be parried actually. So I think these are all. Maybe I forgot something, but yeah. So a glancing penalty is a glancing strike is pretty much the opposite of a critical strike. So a glancing strike, what you can imagine, is just a strike which does less damage. And the chance or how often, how many times you are getting glancing penalties are, I think also affected by weapon skill and hit rating. But yeah, that's not really that important for now, for this explanation. However, let me explain again my example. Let's say we are on dwarf. We have 300 weapon skill. We are attacking the enemy raid boss, and we get a glancing strike. So our damage is reduced by 35%. So yeah, that's pretty huge actually. So yeah, that's one thing. Let's see what happens if we get more weapon skill. How does this will affect us? So let's say we get I don't know, maybe we get let me think about, maybe we use a Magus belt instead, and we use 2 daggers. So what will happen instead? So yeah, now we have, this is pretty much called a delta. So our difference between weapon skill and the enemy defense is only 10 now, not 15 anymore. First of all, our glancing penalty is way reduced. So we aren't suffering from 35% anymore. Now we have 15%. Also, what's happening, our miss chance also decreased. Now we have 6% miss chance, and we only need 6% hit cap. That 1% that is ignored is not happening anymore. So yeah, that's one thing. As you already can see, just from looking at this, we have pretty much 20% kind of damage increase. Not really, but our glancing strikes are already doing 20% more damage than before. So yeah, 20% damage just baseline is already insane. So that's pretty big. So yeah, that's one thing already. That is really insane. That's the thing. So like imagine if you are using daggers and you are using Magus belt and you hit the enemy with a glancing strike, instead of 35%, we have 15% of a penalty. And 15% is almost close to the full damage we would do. 35% is definitely not. And that's why I also said, if you have more gear, this will affect you even more because all of this is percentage based. So let's say you does like 100 damage. If it would hit for a glancing strike, you would do 35% damage less, so minus 35. If you do 200 damage, this of course doubles. So now you have 70 damage less. And as you also know, we have rage as warriors. So this will of course affect us because if we do more damage, we are getting more rage, we can use more abilities and so on. So yeah, that's really important. So that's really important why our weapon skill affects us this much. We really need to make sure that we have our weapon skill in check, so we are not suffering from such a huge glancing penalty. Because this could mean, if we hit a glancing strike, that we can use in Bloodthirst, or we can't because we didn't get enough rage from our hit. So yeah, can pretty much mean you are hitting the enemies for like 2-3 glancing strikes in a row, and you're not getting any rage. And in comparison, if you have with the weapon skill, you will have enough rage to use your abilities. So yeah, that's really important. Why we need to cap our weapon skill? It's not really capped, but we need at least 305. As you always can see, also can see, what is pretty useful, is what would happen if we go even above that. So even above that, we have some advantages. So let's say we have 306 weapon skill. This one is decreased by 4%. Our hit rating not much, so the miss chance not really, but yeah. Our glancing penalty is kind of. So even 307 makes sense because our glancing penalty again halves from 15% to like 7%. And yeah, this could be maybe in consideration. I wouldn't really but build for that. If you get it, it's nice. If not, whatever. For example, my human set right now, as you can see, let me switch over. This sword, for example, gives me another 4 weapon skill. So I actually have 309 weapon skill. And yeah, as you can see, so this would be a bit down, and my glancing penalty would be a bit lower even than that. So yeah, I almost hit for full damage actually. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's what I wanted to talk about in this video. Mostly what I wanted to talk about is um, how the hit chance of 9% is kind of a trap. Don't really go for it, it's not really worth it. Of course, what you can do is, of course, if you go like over your hit cap, whatever, but don't be like, oh, I have 300 weapon skill, I only 9% hit cap, and then I'm good. No, actually try to go for, instead go for 305 weapon skill and go for 6% hit cap, and if you go above that 6%, it can be a good damage increase for you. But yeah, weapon skill should be your priority. So you should fill, not hit rating. That's one thing that is unique to Classic. No other expansion has that. That's unique to Classic. For example, in TBC we have expertise and hit rating, but hit rating is more important for us than expertise in TBC. But yeah, that's pretty much all. I hope you liked the information. Maybe you could learn something from it. Or I hope the examples I showed were useful to you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments. If you have anything to say, feel free. This was again me, Anchor64, with another video, and I hope I can see you on the next one. Feel free to give me a like, subscribe, whatever, the usual stuff. And yeah, see ya.